Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julianne Karenko. I am an attorney by profession at this time and have been practicing law for 30 years in Michigan, Texas, and Florida. I'm currently located in Texas, and the purpose of today's video is for me to, based upon my understanding of my professional dispositions or my personal dispositions, which are hopefully aligned very closely with one another, I am going to address the issue of a special education teacher's role in the planning and supporting and collaboration of my students and with my colleagues. I'd like to start by letting you know my professional dispositions include strongly agreeing with all of the dispositions set forth in the teacher's professional disposition. That could very well be because I am an attorney by trade, and as a result, I have 3 different professional ethics codes that I have to abide by. In addition to the fact that I believe that the reference dispositions are absolutely the most minimal mandatory that we can have in this special education profession. We are teaching some of God's most important children to learn to live with the issues that they have and to learn to thrive, to learn to grow, and to become the best people they can be, and to hear the call of the Lord, Jesus Christ, when He calls, and to be able to answer that call because they understand about themselves and that they are God's beloved children and that they will be taken care of on earth and in heaven. So, having said that, I'd like to first discuss the issue of planning. I think it's incredibly important to plan your first day, not only your first day every day that you teach, but certainly your first day. I think first impressions are extremely important for parents and for children. I want the opportunity to, and will make the opportunity to, meet all of the parents in my classroom for my children and to have open discussions with them about their children's issues and needs. I will book off special time, if necessary, on Saturdays at my own home or at a neutral third place where the parties feel comfortable. When I say parties, I mean parents. Depending on the age of the student might be involved also, but definitely the parents, so that they can understand who I am, because I need to understand who they are. And I believe if I'm open about who I am with them, that they will be open with me. I've at least found that in my practice so far with the law. And I'm hoping that that professional disposition continues. It was actually created when I was in parochial school for many years and also has been reinforced through the years with prayer, meditation, church activities, and other activities that I would consider works for others. I believe this is the most important work I can be doing for others right now. Having said that, going back to planning, after the first day, if I haven't had the opportunity to meet all of my parents, I will make special appointments on evenings or Saturdays to meet with them. I also will take the time to meet with each of my students, to talk to them, to learn how they speak, to learn what they enjoy, or learn what they dislike the most, to learn what they like the most, to learn what makes them happy, to learn what makes them sad, to understand problems or issues that they've had in the past that they haven't been able to address in a proactive way because they felt perhaps embarrassed or just not confident in communicating. So communication, I think, is one of the most important skills I can have as a teacher. Collaborating with my colleagues will assist me in doing that because we always learn from our colleagues that they've had different situations than we have, and sometimes they've worked them out wonderfully and sometimes they haven't worked out so well. Normally when they haven't worked out so well, they've gone back and done a reboot, to coin a phrase, and started over again, which is what I'm all about with my children. I'm a firm believer that it is incredibly important to keep bias out of the classroom, out of the schools. Don't even get me into out of the courthouse. But in any event, the children never look the same in any class. They never did. Even the children in the schools that we went to didn't look the same. I have a very integrated school district in a very, very well-to-do part of Houston, and I'm very excited to be having the opportunity to do my practicum work there and to go to potentially to work there. We have a vast array of students from all different countries. A lot of their parents work for NASA, so they have extremely educated parents, but many times it makes it more difficult to explain to those parents what their children's issues are. It's going to be incredibly important to identify the children's diagnoses if they have any. If they don't have any, it's going to be important, of course, to first do the testing to ascertain what diagnosis they may have, to ascertain what problems they have, to correctly diagnose those problems, and to then be able to take a plan of action and put it into place to help solve those problems. Now I realize that I am not God, and I realize that I cannot solve the world's problems. I do believe, however, that I am an agent of the Lord, and I do believe that I am able to channel, through the grace of God, His ability to help me teach these children the things they need to know. Self-confidence is the first and most important thing in my book for the children. So I'm going to make certain that I am extremely honest about myself. I'm going to let them know that I have a child in special education, that I understand what they're going through, and that I am going to be there to help them. I'm going to let them know I'm going to be there to help them. If they're embarrassed to ask their parents a question, they can ask me the question. If there's something that I feel that needs to be discussed with the parents because of behavior with the children, I will have no problem doing that. I'm extremely blunt as a result of my profession, and therefore have the ability to deal with those types of issues, hopefully in a softened fashion. That softening, I believe, will come with practicing it, praying for it, and then experiencing it on a positive level, which reinforces the triumvirate. Special education students today are very different than they were 30 years ago. We have new diagnoses, we have new research, we have all types of theories and ideas on how to approach the children. I quite frankly think they're all legitimate, and I think they're all probably going to have to be used at different times for different students. Having said that, brings again the issue of collaboration back into focus, because if I'm not collaborating with other professionals in my career and in my practice, then I'm going to have great difficulty understanding how people have done it before me. And those people know how to do it, many of them. You have to be careful who you listen to, as we know. But if you have good Christian people that have a positive attitude towards their students and a positive attitude towards collaborating, then you can learn more from their mistakes sometimes than you can from their successes. But I look forward to learning from both. My disposition is that every child deserves to be educated in this country. I believe that every child can be educated. I believe that every child wants to be educated. And I believe sometimes that parents and schools are the biggest inhibitors to that education, either for lack of caring, for lack of funding, for lack of student-teacher interaction, for lack of teacher-parent interaction, for lack of an understanding between the administrators and yourself as it relates to what you do. So I will be very cautious about where I begin my practice of teaching. Sorry, I keep saying practice. That's the lawyer. In any event, the last issue I have time to address is biases, personal biases. I went to parochial school and was blessed enough to have grown up in a very Christian family. As I became older and went to law school, I had a very integrated law school. And that was a wonderful experience for me. I stayed in Ann Arbor, which is a very integrated community with university professors from South Africa to Australia to the Middle East and China, and I have enjoyed every aspect of that, having them as neighbors, having them as parents for my children in school. It's been a wonderful experience. If one cannot absolve themselves, or at least make great effort at absolving themselves from personal biases, they will never be successful as a teacher in this community. And I don't believe bias has any place in our schools, let alone in our special education classes. Children come from all different parts of the globe, come from all different parts of our community with special education needs. They may come from the richest family and they may come from the poorest family. It does not matter. If a child has special needs, they need to be treated with respect, they need to be treated with love, and they need to be treated with kindness. They also need special attention given to each of them on a daily basis so that their view of themselves becomes one of a confident child, as confident as they can be. And I believe that nurturing the children through God's love by acting, reacting, being proactive, and being involved in their lives at school every day, and perhaps even in their extracurricular lives if they do Special Olympics. I think that's something that I'm going to stay involved in. If they engage in other activities like that, I would love to be involved with it. As a matter of fact, if the school that I teach at does not have those activities, I will actively promote those activities being involved in school because the children need to have all children need to have all the same experiences or as many experiences as they can with the outside world in order to allow them to be able to live and survive and hopefully thrive in this world that we have today. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope I wasn't too wordy or verbose, I should say. And I look forward to watching all of your videos. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.